She was speaking in Saudi Arabia, where Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman hosted two milestone Arab summits with the Chinese leader, which showcased the powerful prince's regional heft as he courts partnerships beyond close historic ties with the West. Top oil exporter Saudi Arabia and economic giant China both sent strong messages during Xi's visit on non-interference at a time when Riyadh's relationship with Washington has been tested over human rights, energy policy, and Russia. Any move by Saudi Arabia to ditch the dollar in its oil trade would be a seismic political move, which Riyadh had previously threatened in the face of possible U.S. legislation exposing OPEC members to antitrust lawsuits. China's growing influence in the Gulf has unnerved the United States. Deepening economic ties were touted during Xi's visit, where he was greeted with pomp and ceremony and on Friday met with Gulf states and attended a wider summit with leaders of Arab League countries spanning the Gulf, Levant, and Africa. At the start of Friday's talks, Prince Mohammed heralded a historic new phase of relations with China, a sharp contrast with the awkward US-Saudi meetings 5 months ago when President Joe Biden attended a smaller Arab summit in Riyadh. Asked about his country's relations with Washington in light of the warmth shown to Xi, Foreign Minister Prince Faisal bin Farhan Al Saud said Saudi Arabia would continue to work with all its partners. "We don't see this as a zero-sum game," he said. "We do not believe in polarization or in choosing between sides," the prince told a news conference after the talks. Though Saudi Arabia and China signed several strategic and economic partnership deals, analysts said relations would remain anchored mostly by energy interests, though Chinese firms have made forays into technology and infrastructure sectors. Energy concerns will remain front and center of relations, Robert Mogilnicki, senior resident scholar at the Arab Gulf States Institute in Washington, told Reuters. The Chinese and Saudi governments will also be looking to support their national champions and other private sector actors to move forward with trade and investment deals. There will be more cooperation on the tech side of things too, prompting familiar concerns from Washington. Saudi Arabia agreed a memorandum of understanding with Huawei this week on cloud computing and building high-tech complexes in Saudi cities. The Chinese tech giant has participated in building 5G networks in Gulf states despite U.S. concerns over a possible security risk in using its technology. Saudi Arabia and its Gulf allies have defied U.S. pressure to limit dealings with China and break with fellow OPEC Plus oil producer Russia over its invasion of Ukraine, as they try to navigate a polarized world order with an eye on national economic and security interests. Riyadh is a top oil supplier to China, and the two countries reaffirmed in a joint statement the importance of global market stability and energy collaboration, while striving to boost non-oil trade and enhance cooperation in peaceful nuclear power. She said Beijing would continue to import large quantities of oil from Gulf Arab countries and expand imports of liquefied natural gas, adding that their countries were natural partners who would cooperate further in upstream oil and gas development. China would also make full use of the Shanghai Petroleum and National Gas Exchange as a platform to carry out yuan settlement of oil and gas trade, he said. Beijing has been lobbying for use of its yuan currency in trade instead of the US dollar. A Saudi source, speaking before Xi's visit, told Reuters that a decision to sell small amounts of oil in yuan to China could make sense in order to pay Chinese imports directly. But it is not yet the right time. Most of Saudi Arabia's assets and reserves are in dollars, including more than $120 billion of U.S. treasuries that Riyadh holds, and the Saudi riyal, like other Gulf currencies, is pegged to the dollar. Earlier, the Chinese leader said his visit heralded a new era in relations, voicing hope the Arab summits would become milestone events in the history of China-Arab relations.
Closed-door contempt hearing related to Trump ends with no outcome publicly announced. A federal judge declined to hold former President Donald Trump in contempt of court in a closed-door hearing on Friday, two sources familiar with the matter told CNN. The sources also told CNN that Chief Judge Beryl Howell instead pressed the Trump team and the Justice Department to work together to find a mutually agreeable resolution. The contempt proceedings for Trump ended after almost 90 minutes behind closed doors on Friday afternoon at a Washington, D.C., courthouse. CNN observed prosecutors, including the Justice Department's counterintelligence chief Jay Bratt, and attorneys for Trump exiting the courthouse just before 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time. The two legal teams had gathered in the chambers area for Howell, who was set to consider whether to hold Trump in contempt for failing to comply with a subpoena ordering him to turn over classified records, according to CNN's reporting. No outcome was publicly announced. When asked for comment, Trump spokesman Stephen Chung sent the same statement issued on Thursday, saying the former president and his lawyers will continue to be transparent and cooperative, even in the face of the highly weaponized and corrupt witch hunt from the Department of Justice. A coalition of media organizations that included CNN had asked Howell to allow public access to Friday's hearing. But the judge did not grant the request. Lisa Clem, the court spokesperson, acknowledged the sealed hearing on Friday in a statement, but provided no more information as to what happened. This afternoon, the court held a hearing regarding an ongoing and sealed grand jury matter. This matter remains under seal, pursuant to Federal Rule of Criminal Procedure 6 and Local Criminal Rule 6.1, the statement said. The DOJ sought to hold Trump and his office in contempt for not fully complying with a subpoena following the search of his Mar-a-Lago resort in August. Being held in contempt over subpoenas for documents has become a feature of the former president's court tangles since he left office. Had he been held in contempt Friday, he could have racked up fines. The proceedings ratchet up pressure on Trump as he faces possible criminal liability in the Mar-a-Lago documents investigation being conducted by special counsel Jack Smith. After the DOJ subpoenaed Trump for documents with classified markings in his possession in May, prosecutors went to court to enforce the grand jury subpoena. The judge ordered Trump's team to comply. That prompted a search by Trump lawyers last month that yielded 2 more documents with classification markings. But the Justice Department is still unsatisfied with the search, and with Trump's side not asserting all documents have been turned over, CNN previously reported. This headline and story have been updated with additional developments.
Ukraine war. U.S. says Russia and Iran in full defense partnership. Russia and Iran's relationship has warmed to a fully fledged defense partnership, the U.S. has said. Russia is giving an unprecedented level of military support, said U.S. National Security Council spokesman John Kirby. The U.S. has seen reports that the two countries are considering joint production of lethal drones, he added. Cooperation between Russia and Iran has been highlighted recently, with Ukraine accusing Russia of using Iranian drones in its attacks. Iran initially denied sending any drones to Russia, but later admitted it had supplied some before the invasion of Ukraine. Mr. Kirby said that a partnership between Iran and Russia to produce drones would be harmful to Ukraine, Iran's neighbors, and the international community. Russia is seeking to collaborate with Iran in areas like weapons development, training, he said, adding that the U.S. fears that Russia intends to provide Iran with advanced military components, including helicopters and air defense systems. In response to Mr. Kirby's comments, UK Foreign Secretary James cleverly said that Iran had become one of Russia's main military supporters and that the relationship between them was threatening global security.
The sordid deals between the two countries have seen Iran send hundreds of drones to Russia, he said. In return, Russia is offering military and technical support to the Iranian regime, which will increase the risk it poses to our partners in the Middle East and to international security, he added. He said the UK agreed with the US that Iranian support for the Russian military would grow in the coming months as Russia tries to get hold of more weapons, including hundreds of ballistic missiles. Ukraine accused Iran of supplying Russia with kamikaze drones used in a series of attacks which killed at least 8 people on October 17. Iran initially denied this, but later admitted sending a limited number of drones to Russia, many months before the war in Ukraine. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky said this was a lie and that Ukraine was shooting down about 10 Iranian drones a day.